What did you do? Did you shoot him in the face?
Yeah.
Welcome to 0 Hit Points, everybody. It's February 5th. I'm Ryan Miller, and he'll just figure it out later. It's Matt Amberg.
You sound really like in a giant room right now.
It's called a garage.
No, but I mean,
no.
You don't sound normal.
Do I? Do I have a weird voice? I feel like my voice goes back and forth from like starting out semi-wannabe announcery or radio, and then just evolves into normal, but I can't. I'm so far removed now, I can't tell. So
I'm just saying, I feel like you should throw a chorus on this, or like some form, like a little bit of reverb, and you'll be fine.
Okay, all right. Yeah, no, I'll take you again. I trust you more than myself at this point. So
fair enough.
Speaking of rooms that we're in, you look like you're in where ceiling fan.
That's true. I am where there's a ceiling fan. You're not wrong. That's excellent deduction. Sure.
I feel like you should throw some air movement on. Oh, that was good air movement, though, actually. Yes, viewers at home, take my word for it. Top-notch air movement from Matthew Amberg at that request.
That's right. The quality here just can't be stopped.
At 0 Hit Points, the video game one this week, where we talk about games we've played at the very least, and some fun news items this week, let me tell you.
Okay, tell me.
No, though, that's after first games we've played.
I feel like you've just worked me up, and now you're like teasing me. You're like, we'll get there.
No, that's all part of the show.
Okay,
the showman is at work here.
So
my friend.
So what you're saying is that I am the Zac Efron to your Hugh Jackman?
I mean, I guess I'd take that any day. Yeah, really. Yeah. We go the other way though. I mean,
what? Can't we?
No, not the other way.
Oh, what is this show about?
I already said that part.
Well, why are we talking about Hugh Jackman? Stop it.
We're not. We're talking about Zac Efron.
Well, and The Greatest Showman in general, which I love.
That's true.
Terrific soundtrack to that. Great music.
It was a good one.
Now, before we get going, speaking of Hugh Jackman, why was he not hired to do a voice in Anthem? That's my number one question in life. I want to know.
It would certainly help things.
Sure it would.
I guess depending on either one of our points of view. We played Anthem this week. We played the Anthem beta. Actually, did we? Oh, that's right. So we didn't do one of these last week.
Correct.
I think at that point we had already played the first round because they opened up the private beta to everybody. Is that right?
I don't know what they did. All I know is that they didn't tell everybody it was open. They said, if you're a VIP, you get this beta. And then I just tried it and it worked. So I went, okay, I am a VIP.
And then you sent me a text and then it happened.
And off we went.
But they have since had an open normal beta-ish, I guess.
Yeah.
So we went back to it for that.
Right.
It was the same client either way, so didn't even have to download anything new, which is my barrier to entry.
If it's there, I'll use it.
But we've spent a fair amount of time with it. We got through all of the... We got to the point where it said the demo's over, essentially, even though I guess there was more of a... You'll have to tell me what you put us into after that, because I don't even know still at this point. But maybe we'll start with the fact that it is a beta and that I could see why they did open it up to more people if it was more focused to begin with. It's a beta.
Definitely.
It's a true beta.
Yeah.
This is not a marketing beta, as it were, something that people... It was treated as such. I think the people that got VIP access were pre-orders, probably.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
But they opened it up because it's rough around the edges in a way that's acceptable for a beta, but maybe a little surprising for a game that comes out in 2 weeks.
Right.
That at least. I think we can see past that for whatever else we're going to talk about after this.
Yeah.
There are crashing bugs. I got the infinite loading glitch, if you've heard about that thing. I got that twice, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
But we did get in eventually, so we got into play plenty of times. It wasn't as bad as some betas where we've just given up and just not played at that point.
Well, I mean, or other fully released games that
also, yes, you could say.
Micro Machines looking at you.
Dude, you don't know how bad that game is. I've been playing it and just refusing to talk about it. And I talk about everything on this show, so.
Don't talk about that.
Okay. Anthem, on the other hand. So yeah, getting past all the actual rough edges, it's got rough edges. There you go. I think there's enough there that we can have an opinion on whether or not we're going to buy this thing, I guess.
Sure. I mean, we had enough mission structure. We played it for about 4 hours, maybe 5 hours.
At least. Yeah.
We did all of the mission stuff that was there. We talked to everybody that we could. We did a little bit of the free play too, not a ton of it, but a little bit of it. Yeah, I think we've got enough to at least put us onto a track where we're going with this game.
Yeah. So what's your track? What's your take so far?
I'm very much I like aspects of it. The flying was very cool.
Yes.
The look of it, I really like. The general combat, I'm not in love with. It's a little weak. The guns don't really have any like punch. They don't feel like they have any weight to them.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I do like that the game is it presses you to use your abilities, which I think is great because there are enough games out there that you get cool abilities, but they have like a really huge long cooldown. So it's really dole them out and like really pay attention. And this was cool. It went a little bit longer. I think that the moves are probably they're not as strong as maybe some of those other games where it's doled out in a longer, over a longer period of time. But
sure.
But I like all the those things, the ultimates, the various javelins were cool. Where this puts me though is there's not enough for me to go, that's a day one, but there's enough for me to keep a pretty keen eye on it to see where they go with it and to see what reviews say, what other people are talking about, how it's received.
Well, I'd say we're pretty well equal. Then
blew your mind
to
on
get
that
to
one.
The nitty-gritty. And I'm glad you mentioned other games as well, because I feel like we're going to mention Destiny in this thing. Especially me, I think when it comes to my buying decision here, I only have time for one of these.
Right.
And I feel like if I'm going to play one of these, I'm going to get into one of these. So one of these is going to be Anthem. It's going to be Destiny. It's going to be The Division 2. It's going to be... There's probably 5 or 6. Metro Exodus was probably... And they're all differing to some degree, but they all kind of trade on that live game or games as service, if we're still using that term. But I agree with pretty much everything you've said about the game so far. It looks gorgeous. Like, I do like the design and the execution on it.
Yeah.
I think where that does get a little muddy is during the gameplay. I don't know if everything's communicated real well. Like, stuff got confusing sometimes and again, this is very early on into it, and the beta started us at level 10, and I got the feeling not at the beginning of the story itself either.
Yeah, which I'm going to jump in here real fast.
Jump.
That is one of the few things I didn't really focus on or pay any attention to, the story, because I knew coming in it was going to be stuff that I didn't understand or didn't know about. And while the one mission that you kind of are running to complete, and you get a start and a finish to it. It makes sense.
It's a good slice, actually.
It was a very fun, like that whole, how that mission works out. Totally great fun. Love the dialogue there. The writing is fine. It seems super fun, but I didn't, like I said, I didn't really focus on the story, so it's certainly not a driver for me right now, which is a huge part of this, is why I'm holding off, along with the technical functional parts of the game. I want somebody to say, yes, the story is worth your time and is good and is not Destiny.
Keep talking about this Destiny story. I'm like, where did this happen?
Right, correct.
Probably Destiny 2, which none of us play. Okay, so I think we can probably compliment each other here a little bit, because I was pretty focused on the story, especially since you look great today.
Yeah, so do you. I was going to say, new sweater.
Other compliment. But you do look great. Hey,
yeah, you're looking slim. Real slim.
Been playing a lot of Red Dead. They call me Slim. They don't.
Slim Porkins.
Is that a real name?
No.
Should be.
Yeah.
But so Anthem, I was paying attention to the story because their pitch in a lot of ways was that, especially coming from BioWare, that this is going to be a Destiny that has the story or has those hooks that BioWare tends to have that Destiny certainly did not.
Right.
Which is a good sell for me. Like, I was very curious about how they're going to intermix that, because I don't believe for a second still that they're going to focus on that more than the live game aspect of it. You know, they want this thing to make money in perpetuity, you know, for years and years.
Microtransactions.
Or whatever it ends up being.
MTX.
Motocross?
Yeah, but there's a T in there. So motocross. Yes, you're correct.
Oh, okay. So I was interested in how that was kind of executed in this demo. I don't think there's maybe enough of that to get a huge picture of it.
Right.
Or there is, and those are two largely siloed off portions of the game, I think, because we did all of like the story stuff separate. Like we're not in those cutscenes together. We kind of timed them at the same time, so we were, you know, experiencing it somewhat simultaneously. But we do the multiplayer missions, and honestly, it's Destiny. Like I didn't get much more out of those functionally than I did out of a Destiny thing. Like you go,
right,
you do the thing, people talk to you while it's happening, and then it ends with a screen, and you see some XP and some loot drop. That's Destiny. Like that. Like functionally speaking, I didn't get any more out of it than I got from that. Except for maybe I enjoy the gameplay of Destiny better. Like, I'm not going to say Anthem's bad. It's different. It's third person, and it does get a little confusing, like I said, but it's good. In fact, it's still satisfying, I guess. You know, it's not.
You sound very sold on it. It's satisfying.
It's not transcendent, but
I guess.
That was, to me, that was the strongest part of it, was when we got into it and we were actually playing together and you're shooting. And you're right, the guns don't feel as good as Destiny. The feedback's not as great as Destiny, maybe. But that's probably the very best part of Destiny and how it's better than even a lot of games out there. So that's fine. But then you go back to the story stuff and it's the same thing. It seemed like two very separate games. Like the story stuff seemed completely disconnected from you went out and did that mission thing and now you came back and it's just going to feed you all the story, which that's fine. And in the end, if I ask what I want out of it, that's probably better than Destiny. But in the end, it's just like you play Mass Effect for a while and then you play a multiplayer thing for a while, like the live version of the game, and then you play some more Mass Effect. So I guess that's good, but then at that point, it just completely hinges on the writing and the story. And like you say, it's fine. I would probably emphasize that it's just fine. I don't think it's as good as anything I've seen in Mass Effect so far, and I've only played 1 and 2 of Mass Effect.
Right.
And I'm talking about like the minute to minute, like the dialogue, which dialogue is hard, and dialogue is what sets apart, I think, good and great games a lot of the times, or even movies. Like dialogue just straight up hard. I don't think it's nailed here. I don't think the transitions are very good. Like there was one of the quotes I took away from one of the interactions was, "I gotta go."
Fair enough.
That's not only where that discussion ends, and not in a earned abruptness, but also right after that, enviro dialogue starts up right away. So the guy starts talking about something else or starts mentioning like incidental stuff that you're supposed to hear while you're walking around about what you just talked to him about. So it was small stuff like that. It just didn't seem like the care was taken.
Just reiterating it to you.
Yeah, I guess.
Make sure everybody knows about it.
In the background.
Yeah.
But the actual premise, because you go and get this piece of tech that imbues all these weird properties to stuff, and it splits the engineer into 3 separate guys' personalities. And there's actually some funny stuff around that. Like me and you both laughed out loud at some of the stuff that was said then and there.
Yeah.
And it comes together in that they stay apart, but they figure out the thing with the item. So I was interested in all that. Like if they can give me a satisfying story about that like that, that can be cool.
Sure.
But just so far in the execution, it hasn't been great.
Which again, and this comes back to that whole, it's a beta, so we don't really know what's out there for it. I'm in the same boat as you. You know, I mean, we're paddling together, I think, on this one. I will say that the game is very much a combo platter of Destiny and Warframe. The movement feels so Warframey. The styles of the missions feel very Warframey outside of the fact that you're usually like in an enclosed environment. But here, like, it feels very, very similar to...
Do you fly in Warframe?
There are characters that can, and there are like things that you can get to let you fly, but for the most part, you just have this super fast movement where you kind of run and then you spin and then you do a corkscrew and then you run, you spin, and you just kind of do it over and over, and you travel very quickly.
I will say, I mean, I do like the movement a lot. Like we said the word Iron Man to each other numerous times, I feel like, while we were playing it. And it does feel like that. Like the fact that there was an Iron Man game for 360 that I actually played and liked. There might have been 2, in fact, even. I don't know. That part I think they got right. Like I said, the gameplay, and while you're doing that, I've heard other criticism on it so far. Bombcast had some good stuff to say, and there's a couple of write-ups out there on Polygon. There's everywhere. Everybody's been playing this thing.
Right.
But the fact that there is kind of a cooldown on that stuff, like you can't just sit there and hover in the air and shoot forever, because that's where it does feel the strongest. Like you jump up, you hit the button to hover, and hopefully not the button to take off straight away, because that was the funniest part of the beta, because you click down on either stick, one of them just hovers and the other one like sends you into a rocket mode. And I tried to stand up and hover, and I rocketed right into the center of like 20 enemies. It was great.
It was the flying bit, and I did that a number of times as well, where it was like I just wanted to hover. I did not mean to go flying directly into that wall and then tumble down all the way to the ground. And when you hit a wall while you're rocketing too, that's great too. But that part feels great, but there's a meter on it, and then when it goes down, you're on the floor, and it's just way less fun while you're on the floor. I mean, I revert to kind of hiding behind rocks to stuff like that, which seemed like there were attacks that went through them. The encounters seem to encourage that movement that they give you, but they don't give you that movement infinitely. Right.
So it kind of created this thing where I was like, wow, I really have fun for a little bit, and I'm trying to manage having fun for it. And I don't just want to steamroll stuff.
I like managing my fun. Well, that's enough fun for today. Cut it off.
Well, whatever you threw us into, I feel like after, or maybe this was the final mission, was difficult. No, that was like a strike or something.
Yeah, it was kind of.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was. So it wasn't the mission itself, or it wasn't like part of the story, or that we were running. It was a trial or a temple or something like that.
Okay.
It was a secondary thing though that was meant to be harder, and
it felt like more like a Destiny strike.
Yeah.
And it was harder. Like we failed that thing numerous times, and it had this exact same mission structure as Destiny. Like sometimes you'll go into a respawn's not allowed, and then if everybody dies, it'll restart the whole squad back at a certain checkpoint. So yeah, that was harder. Like I had to figure out combat a little bit better, but at that point I had chosen a different javelin, so I was trying to learn that at the same time in there. So that was probably a bad combination.
Yeah, it's a beta. That's what it's for.
It's a beta, but I'm with you. I'm not a day one by any means. I'll keep an eye on it and see. I mean, it'll get better as time goes on. Like I have, all of these do now.
Yeah, I am just at a point though where if the games like this come out and they're not pretty good right at the offset, the odds of me ever playing it are slim to none.
That's true.
There's just too much other stuff, and then on top of that, I hate trying to jump into games like that where and there's no PvP, so this isn't actually that big of a deal. But I kind of hate jumping into games that are like that, where I'm so far behind everybody else that it's like just chugging through things, and then you end up, sometimes it's cool to have somebody that comes in and just kind of blows through a level so you can boost through it. Other times it's like, well, I'd like to actually play the game.
Right.
So
I think when it came down, especially thinking about the whole single player multiplayer thing, I kind of had to ask myself what I wanted to get out of it. Because if I want a Mass Effect like that has some of these like multiplayer stuff to it, like I could be into this. That could be fine. Like this could be one of those. But if it's a mediocre and not as good Mass Effect, then it's not really.
It's not worth it. Not worth the time.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Or the money.
It's a lose-lose kind of type thing. So.
All right. Well, Anthem, lose. 0 hit points.
It's 0hitpoints.com. Did you play anything else this week?
No, that was it.
No? Oh, okay. Actually, no, wait. You did. And we're going to talk about it, Matt, because you told me about it, and I've been playing it a little bit. Wordscapes, Matt.
Yeah.
You want to talk about it?
Not really.
Why not?
Because it's a good game.
Well,
Go find it. It's downloadable.
It's true. So far we don't talk about those.
It's a mobile game, and it's like a word search game.
It is like a word search game.
I mean, it's a word search game. It's not like it. That's exactly what it is.
Okay, you texted me about this thing. I downloaded it. It puts a certain number of letters on a wheel, and you are, one finger putting those words together, those letters together to make words that then complete crosswords. Which I feel like is probably where you got in this thing because you are a crossword savant.
No, I'm definitely not. I just like playing them. I'm terrible at them. I never do well. I like them.
Okay. So I got this thing. You said you've removed the ads, right?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't get that far into it to remove any ads. Although it's not, what is it, $3? It's not.
No, it's not that expensive. It's just
the right price for removing annoyances. Although I do like, my favorite ads are the ones that contain the entire game.
That you can actually play.
Yep, they're like, here, play this game. I'm like, what? It's the entire thing's in the ad. I don't get what. This one, it's Toon Blast, which is another game I've heard you talk about. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, maybe he's just trying to get me to play Toon Blast again. But the whole game was in the ad, so whatever.
Yeah, I was definitely not.
And then for a split second, I was like, man, because you earn currency, if you can believe it. And the way the screen, one of the screens was laid out, made me think that I could use the in-game currency to remove ads, which I really like that idea. Like, I would play a game to remove the ads from it. Like, that would automatically get me right there.
Yeah,
I misread the game, apparently. That's not how it goes. But maybe I could sell you on the world's #1 solitaire app. Toon Blast.
You cannot.
Home decorating, maybe?
Too soon.
Okay. You told me it got difficult at some point. So I was like, okay, I'll play this till it gets difficult because I am freaking breezing through this thing at this point. Like, it's kind of brainless.
Yeah, it is.
So I'm like, okay, let's see. I get to 50. I think I'm at maybe 60 now. And then I finally decide to check how many levels exist in this game. Have you done that yet?
No, I just assumed it was like forever.
What do you think is forever?
I don't know.
It's not forever.
100.
What about 5,200?
That's a good number. A lot of puzzles.
I deleted it.
Because it was
it's
too
a
good.
little brainless. It's a time waster. For that, it is good. It's one of the better ones, in fact. It's a well-built game.
That's why I played WWE Supercard.
Yes, that's my next. I'll be like, if I'm going to do this, I might as well just download WWE Supercard.
Yeah, it's the most brainless. And yet I still play it every freaking day. I'm sitting there tapping away for a little bit.
Tapping away. No, we'll talk about it next week, I guess, because I am one mobile game down at this point. So you'll get me one of these days.
We all know that you can't.
It's all I ever play. No.
Yeah, you're the mobile king.
Tons and tons of them. I did play one more game this week.
I bet I know which game it was.
Because I've spent like an obscene maybe amount of time on it this week.
You have.
For me.
I've seen you online every day with this thing.
You seen Mob Scene?
What?
Sorry, I don't know. I play Red Dead Redemption.
Are you having an episode?
This is a great episode so far. Thank you.
Fair enough. All right, let's keep going.
I played a lot of Red Dead 2 this week.
Yeah.
Got back into it, which easier to pick up than I thought it would be, but I guess I didn't spend too much time away from it. We were talking about how that thing might happen, so I better get to it. I think I narrowly avoided that.
Fair.
I'm in chapter 4. Yes, yeah. Chapter 4 still.
Okay.
Which is only one chapter up from last time we talked about it, but still, given how long those chapters are, that's an accomplishment.
Yeah, they're lengthy.
Basically, I fell down a huge hunting rabbit hole.
Dude, they're so much fun to play. I love the hunting things.
So you've been into it a bunch so far?
Yeah, I do it all the time. Like I am constantly hunting things. Like if I see, I will go out of my way to I'll shoot rabbits. I'll run over rabbits. I don't care. Oh, there's a turkey. Yeah, I want the turkey feather. What am I going to use it for? Probably nothing. I still want it.
So that's how bad I am. I now know what I want to use it for. So I've talked to Pearson, the guy at the camp,
right,
and also the trapper.
Yeah.
Who's immensely more accessible in Saint Denis, which I had to stop calling Saint Denis. I'm sorry. But yeah, the trapper and Pearson both have this long list of stuff that if you sell to them, they can craft stuff out of it. For Pearson, he's crafting stuff for the camp.
Right.
And for the trapper, I think they're all clothes, actually. Yeah. And some of those are tied to the legendary animals, if you can find any of those. But I made a list of everything they wanted, and then they all want perfect versions of it. So now I'm looking at how to actually get perfect pelts, which I'd never dug into. I was just like, you told me to get the varmint rifle. I did that, and I got more, I think.
Yeah.
But then if you look it up, basically you go into the compendium, look at the animals, and then in the description it'll mention what gun you want to use with it, whether it's most of it seems to be varmint rifle, especially for the smaller stuff, or the bow with small game arrows, which you have to craft using flight feathers and some other stuff. So yeah, I'm way in it. Like, I have my list now that I made myself, didn't even copy paste from anywhere online. I know what I need. I'm starting to memorize what guns I need for what animals right off the bat. I've already completed a lot of requests. I have spent time on my horse with binoculars bird watching, literally, because if you can zoom in close enough that you can study them, and then it'll unlock the info, and you know what you need to shoot them with, and then you can get the.
Yeah.
Telling you, man, rabbit hole.
Oh man,
which I found a lot of rabbit holes also, actually.
Sure. I am a huge fan of the I like finding vantage points and then just sitting on the horse and then popping out those binoculars and spying things from up there. And I did this after I had been alerted that there's a legendary creature in this area.
Smart.
So I'm standing there and I'm binocking. I find him. Okay, got it. Gonna creep on down there, use the best thing I can use on him. Okay, hit him in the face. He's still not dead, runs away. All right, we're gonna chase him. Hit him in the neck, still runs away. I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm just gonna run up to this guy and just shoot him with a shotgun. No, that's not gonna work either.
I haven't got to use my newfound knowledge on any legendary animals yet. The ones I have killed, I feel like I killed. I think no matter what you do to legendary animals, you get the legendary pelt out of it, and there's no quality thing to it. I believe.
I hope so.
Which makes sense, because that would suck if you
slaughter the animal in like a terrible way. It gets hit by a friggin' train running away from you.
But I am excited to use my newfound knowledge, because every one of my legendary animal hunts has been ridiculous like that. Like, I had to shoot all of them 7 times with whatever I'm using,
elephant rifles,
probably the repeater or something.
Yeah.
There's a ton there. It's super fun. Like, I haven't got a handle on the fishing yet. I did find the fishing stranger guy, and he's told me,
I like the fishing,
or gave me a map where all the legendary fishes are.
Yeah.
But I'm missing something there. I tried forever to catch the legendary. I found out lake sturgeon and not the gar, because I kept catching gar. But then depending on the body of water, but then the fish sometimes wants a different lure, and I got all the specialists. I'll let you know about that.
Fair enough. I like the fishing.
It's fun. It's still fun.
Yeah.
It is. And you're right. I'm where you're at now. I just do it constantly on the way, because I have also been doing mission stuff. So I'm constantly on the way looking for animals that I need for these lists, but I've also been doing some of the missions. I want to mention about the missions. One of the things that now I'm aware that they have nailed that I can't think any other game has, and we've most specifically talked about this in Telltale games, where and maybe it's with that tech. I feel like when The Walking Dead came out, the Telltale Walking Dead, it was a storytelling revelation in a lot of ways, and enjoyable as such. But as they started to make so many of those and didn't update the tech, to me, one of my sticking points was the in-engine editing. Mm-hmm. Think about movie editing, but in-engine, right? There would be weird pauses or stuff that didn't quite land, timing that was wrong, which is essential.
Yeah.
Especially to comedy, which I think is why you don't see a lot of comedic games pulled off very well, but also in dramatic storytelling. Like, it's very important. So Red Dead 2, I think, and you got, I don't know if you've gotten this mission yet, where semi-story spoilers for Red Dead.
Lenny.
I think it's still worth playing, but you come into a pair of warring families. It's after you get to Rhodes. It's the second camp, the Braithwaites and the Greys, I think it is. Maybe. I know one of them's the Braithwaites. No? Not ringing a bell?
I can't remember. Yeah, I don't know that I've seen this.
Well, at some point, you steal some moonshine, and then you try to sell it back to Lady Braithwaite, and she's like, you know what? Keep it and take it to the bar run by the rival and give it away for free. So essentially ruining his business for the day. So I go with Hosea, which any mission with Hosea is kind of already the best. He's one of the better characters, and his attachment to Arthur Morgan, is real. Mm-hmm. But you get to the mission, and it's another one of those. They did a little bit of this in the Lenny mission, where you went and got drunk in town with Lenny Valentine, I believe, right?
Lenny.
We've talked about that one. Exactly.
Lenny.
What I realized, and they did more of it here, because you're serving drinks, you're interactive with the lift the glass, pour the drink, and that's it. There's 2 buttons to it. They're on the sticks, I think, so they're more than buttons. But he's slamming the cups down. People are taking them. It goes back. The in-engine editing and the timing on it is perfect. They've nailed it. And again, I can't think of another game that's done this. It's not a cutscene. It's in-engine.
Yeah.
And it's freaking perfect, man. It's great.
Rockstar, right? That's why they're called. That's why they're called that.
They did it. I hope people. I would imagine it took a ton of time and money, and resources, and people not working in the best environments at times, perhaps. But man, did they get it here?
Yeah, so, game technological marvel. That game.
Yeah, keep going on that stuff. The story. I'm maybe still waiting on the story. I'm super invested in Dutch as a character. I think he's. I was tempted to say the most fully realized member of the cast, but I think when you get into Arthur and how you're playing him and his journal and stuff like that, I don't think that holds up. I think he's the more fully realized member. It's just maybe more difficult to put a complete encapsulation on him.
Yeah.
Whereas Dutch is a fully realized, like, you know that character because he's archetypal, I guess. You've seen him so many places before, but he's done real well here. And I guess we'll see where all this goes, and I'll maybe have a better opinion of it when we both finish the story and we can have a story off.
Yeah, I gotta catch up.
Also, spend a night at the theater if you can. I don't want to spoil it even.
Yeah, I always see them, and I haven't. I think I went in and I stuck around for like one little play or half the play or like something. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, stick around. There's a second or third. Actually, I think there's only 3 acts, and then it'll quit on you. There was a second act that requires some audience participation. That was pretty fun.
Cool. Yeah. I did that.
Did you?
Yeah.
With the okay, we can talk about it then. I'll spoil it. But
sure.
It's one of those guys that catches a bullet in his teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did that one?
Yeah.
Okay, that was rad because he's like, nobody believes him, and people try to call him out, and he's like, "Well, give me a member from the audience." So I'm like, "Oh, this is me, right? This is me." So I hop up and I walk up there, and he starts responding to you, and he's like, "Okay, shoot me in the face," and I'm like, I know I have real guns, right? Like if this guy is an actual huckster, I'm going to headshot him. And it's Rockstar. So you're like, yeah, am I going to headshot this guy on stage? And that's going to be the end of this thing?
Right.
Have you not played this?
No, I did.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm agreeing with you that that's what they do.
What did you do? Did you shoot him in the face?
Yeah.
What happens? We both know. Maybe I won't spoil it.
Don't spoil it. Just shoot the guy in the face.
Okay. Shoot the guy in the face, guys. Red Dead Redemption 2.
That should have been the tagline.
And one bad thing to go out on here.
Good.
Jack, John Marston, and Abigail's son, which there is a really, really cool mission involving him. Mm-hmm. That's just beautiful. There's a screenshot on my user. Maybe I'll tweet that out too.
Tweet it.
It's an ugly mission, but it's beautiful. It's really great. It's a standout for sure so far.
Nice.
But that character, Jack, the kid, dialogue, voice acting, just the whole 9 is freaking stupid and bad. It's obviously somebody doing a child's voice, number one.
Right.
But also the words he say, when I say dialogue, he's badly written. Like he speaks like an adult still. He says stuff that kids don't say. Like he says, it's worse than that. He says stuff that people or somebody somewhere think a kid might say, and it's like it's bad. It's stupid. So.
Well, they can't all be winners.
I guess. Red Dead Redemption 2.
All right. Sounds good.
Will it retroactively make my Game of the Year list? We'll find out.
No.
That's all I have, though, sir.
All right. Well, let's get to the news.
And probably for the better. Because the news is a little strange. So, some upcoming games that we don't usually dive into, but there are some to mention for some reasons here. The first one is from Sony Pictures Virtual Reality, which is a company surely that exists and not for just this one thing ever.
Absolutely. Correct.
Groundhog Day, Like Father, Like Son, is a VR game that takes place in the Groundhog Day cinematic universe.
I've been concerned about the lack of cinematic universes.
I know, finally, a cinematic universe, which You're playing as Phil's son. You're playing as Phil Jr., in fact.
Yeah. I also just want to point out that I love the title of this game, Groundhog Day, like father, like son. Groundhog Day being a movie about a guy constantly reliving his life. Like Father, Like Son being a movie where Dudley Moore and Kirk Cameron change brains.
I'm sure that's what they were going for. No, yeah. It's a perfect combination of those two things.
That's right. Dudley Moore should be a star in more video games.
Man, is he still alive?
Probably. I don't know.
What does it say about his just completely perfect portrayal of Arthur that I think he died of liver cirrhosis years ago?
It's a fun movie.
The only reason I wanted to mention this game, honestly, 'cause there's a trailer out there. You can watch it. It's cartoony. It doesn't give you much to go on. It certainly could go either way at this point. The only reason I wanted to mention it is because I think actually there is a game in that concept.
Sure.
I don't know if these guys can execute on it. I don't know if it even needs to be VR for that reason, like how that they're going to leverage that. But I think if you think about that movie, and especially how that movie is written, which there are several schools on, that it's not a traditional 3-act, that it's actually based on the stages of grief, which is the most interesting thing about what you think is a come-on. Whatever, it's one of the best movies of all time.
Sure.
There's a game in there, in that structure even. So I'm mildly interested for that reason. Also, it's just a strange thing, you know.
I'll be honest with you, and I'm just thinking about this, just popping into my head right now. Groundhog Day, there is a game in there, and I think that for me, that game is really, really reminiscent of the game Bully.
Huh.
Like it's just a
Bully.
Like game style gameplay. Like it's not you're never. You have the violence in there, but it's not like GTA, you know, it's like kids violence. And same thing with like Phil Connors. He's not going to be overly violent, but the fact that you can go and you can keep dying and stuff and then reset and try different things. Yeah, that would be kind of cool.
Cautiously interested. It's being headed up by Tequila Works, which also has some stuff behind them. They did Rhyme. I mean, I've never played any of these, but Deadlight, they're things I've heard of. So...
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Cool. What else?
Oh, so the other game upcoming is this thing called Apex Legends, which there's apparently, what time is it? Oh, right now, if it weren't actually February 5th and it were somehow February 4th at around 12:10 p.m. PST, you could watch the stream for what has been rumored to be Respawn's Battle Royale Titanfall game thing. No Titans, but yeah. So I don't even really want to talk about what we think or whatever, because it's going on right now. There will be stuff to talk about, opinions to have next week. So
it's going to be a hard no.
Yeah, that's okay. Love me some Respawn. Love me some Titanfall. We'll see.
Don't love me the Battle Royale thing. It's just not for me. I don't know. I like it. I tried. We've had the conversations numerous times about where I am with that stuff, and I just, whatever. It's fine.
I don't know if you've heard about this game, Fortnite. Never mind.
Good. You know what? I'm done with this.
I know why you're done with it. I know where you're going with this.
Fine. Let's just get to the capper.
Okay. The capper this week is kind of three things in one. I saw a couple news items come down, and I'm like, these are all related in a way that I hope we find out by the end of this conversation, but also might not be find out a bull.
Okay.
But to tackle them separately, so the first thing we got is Metro Exodus has gone Epic Game Store exclusive.
Right.
Which... Sure, there was a thing we didn't touch on too long ago about how The Division announced that they're only coming to the Epic... Oh, sorry, The Division 2 is only coming to the Epic Game Store instead of Steam.
Right.
The latest thing with this Metro Exodus game is that they've announced exclusivity, but after they've already been taking a bunch of pre-orders on Steam.
Right.
So they've created this situation where Steam pre-orders are going to be honored, and DLC even, like the game is going to be supported on Steam, but will not be purchasable from a Square One standpoint for 1 year is the exclusivity thing. Yeah, it's getting weird.
Stupid.
And messy, you could say. And there's a whole bunch of stuff about the mess. There was a Eurogamer article that I didn't even clip because it was like, oh, this is getting messy because like the developers came back with something, and then the publishers came back with something, and then it was like this three thing between fans that were all just I didn't, whatever. If you want to look that stuff up and get into it, I just kind of roll my eyes, and I don't think it's worth it most of the time.
Okay.
The only thing that maybe is worth mentioning is that Valve has actually made a statement on this, which I feel like we don't get statements all that often. And they've said, just to explain, even this was their statement on when Metro Exodus did go exclusive. They said, later today, sales of Metro Exodus will be discontinued on Steam due to pre-sales, it should say. Discontinued on Steam due to a publisher decision to make the game exclusive to another PC store. The developer and publisher have assured us that all prior sales of the game on Steam will be fulfilled on Steam. Steam owners will be able to access the game, any future updates, or DLC through Steam. We think the decision to, and this is where there's an actual statement from Valve here, that we think the decision to remove the game is unfair to Steam customers, especially after a long pre-sale period. We apologize to Steam customers that we're expecting it to be available for sale through the February 15th, etc. So they've come out and said, they've ruffled the feathers enough that Valve has an official stance, which is, this is unfair. And they're probably right, honestly. But again, also probably don't pre-order games, maybe.
Definitely don't ever do that.
So it's messy for all sorts of reasons. But I think where it gets interesting and where this speaks to a larger picture is Xbox also came out with a thing this week about Xbox. And this is coming from a description of a GDC session that reads, in fact, this is another Polygon article. I'll just read what that thing says. It says, it's called Xbox Live, growing and engaging your community across iOS, Android, Switch, Xbox, and PC. And the description of that session says, Xbox Live is about to get much bigger. Xbox Live, you like Dags?
I like Dags.
Turned into Brad Pitt from Snatch right there. Xbox Live is expanding from 400 million gaming devices and a reach to over 68 million active players to over 2 billion devices with the release of our new cross-platform XDK developer kit. Get a first look at the SDK to enable game developers to connect players between iOS, Android, and Switch, in addition to Xbox and any game in the Microsoft Store on Windows PCs. So this is something that's been percolating for a while, obviously, with the cross-platform stuff between, Fortnite and all that, which I think we talked about recently.
Yep.
But this, combined with the fact that we're starting to hear more and more things about new consoles on the horizon, like 2020 is some people are saying you'll see some stuff 2019. Yes. You'll probably see a Switch refresh. I don't think we'll count that as a new console this year.
Yeah, but yeah. Rumor has it the PS5 is going to be 2020.
Yeah, 2020 is what we're looking at for whatever the next Xbox and the PS5. Yeah, exactly. Is going to be. And whatever that means, right? Because we have the Xbox One X here that's more than a refresh but less than a new console in a way.
Right.
Like, so all of this combined, like this whole just platforms and upheaval from PC to console, it's just a weird freaking time. And again, this is where I don't know where we go necessarily. Maybe I'll turn it over to you and you can tell us what this all means, Matt, you prognosticator. It's nuts. Gaming hasn't been like this before. Where is it going? I don't even know completely. I hope it goes where would be best for us as gamers, which I think would be complete cross-platform, and that would at least give us, and we've talked about this before, a little bit of a respite, or at least for me, a little bit more of an added value to this whole games of service thing.
Sure.
Which is where games are going. Like, it's all tied up in everything. Everything's tied up. What's happening, Matt? Solve it.
There's no way to tell. It's impossible. You can't do it.
Oh.
No, I think that you're right in that we're in a weird kind of nebulous spot that like we go back to the Epic Games thing, and part of that there are a number of things going on there, right? So you've already got Valve coming out and saying, well, this sucks. You had a whole bunch of people that were expecting it to be on Steam, right? So now they're all pissed off too. And it's such a funny, weird thing for people to get up in arms about in some ways. But then you start reading a little bit further into why so many people are mad about it. And it's not just that it was adverted as a Steam game, but like in recent years, we've seen Epic's
in recent year.
Yeah,
I think yeah.
Sure. Credentials have been stolen. Security on the thing is terrible. There were, everything got dumped, so all the usernames and everybody, like all that stuff is out there. And on top of that, like it's another friggin' launcher. How many launchers does one need? At some point, every game is just going to be installed with a launcher of its own. It's not going to be just you're going to have an actual launcher to open up the game, to do the thing, to open up the game again.
Wow, you're so 90s right now.
Yeah.
It's literally just what it was.
I guess ultimately what the point here is that you have all these companies that are like, they're homogenizing what they're all trying to do. They're all doing the exact same thing. Some are doing it better, some are doing it worse. When at the end of the day, all we want as gamers is the ease of getting the game. And Steam is the one that I think gets a little bit of a boost because they've not only been around so long, they've got their security stuff figured out. They allow you to import games that are not Steam games. So, all those...
That's true. Is Epic going to be even as much of an open platform as Steam?
Right.
Doesn't seem like it the way they're going about getting their foothold to begin with.
Right. And I mean, Valve, to their credit on a minute level, they are a little more open to letting people play with APIs and pull data and all that.
Right.
So the nebulousness here is that, like I said, we as gamers want everything centralized. I want to be able to get my stuff in the same place. I want it all to be there. And while the companies themselves are homogenizing how it's done, they're not doing it in conjunction with each other, which also just frustrates things.
Okay. I think I've got something here.
Okay.
In a way, they're actually breaking up homogenization is what we're seeing. Like Steam has been the great homogenizer for how long? And now we're seeing a disruption to that of sorts. But, okay, I've got it. We are in the middle of a future war, and not the Tom Clancy kind.
Who cares then?
Is this just like the modern console war? Okay, that's the worst way to put it because we're not talking about console. Here's platform. Is this the modern platform war? Is this like they're making moves? Like they're trying to make money. They're doing what console makers have always done. And will we as gamers get caught up in it in a way? Are we going to be collaterally damaged? In a way, is the thing that something end of sentence.
So this is, to me, this is more and more becoming analogous to the cord cutter situation. It's annoying. It's aggravating to remember, okay, this show is on this one, but it's not on this one. They're both on this one, but that one doesn't have commercials. This one does. It's the same thing. They're all homogenized in what they're doing. And the more people pull away, the more they become disparate. Like you start getting more and more launchers.
Planets fall through your grip.
Yeah, exactly. This is a Grand Moff Tarkin Darth Vader situation.
So the answer is the internet.
Guess what? The future is going to be weird. That was the Zero Hit Point Show. Podcast ZeroHitPoints.com. Tell me how wrong I am. Don't forget, Book Club for Movies is next week.
Wait, it's this week. It's on Thursday.
This week. Wait. Yeah, it is this week.
Well, it's next week too. It's every week.
It's most weeks. Not every week. Let's not lie.
It's Isle of Dogs this week only.
That's going to be a good discussion. I'm very interested in where you go with this one.
Me too.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a lot of Wes Anderson just gobbledygook. That's what I think.
That's the best kind of gobbledy.
Podcast at ZeroHitPoints.com. And podcast at bookclubformovies.com if you want to get in some comments at us, but also Facebook, Twitter, the whole 10, 9, 8,
7, 6, 5.
I don't want to.
4.
Just
3.
What happens at 1?
2. 1. End of the show!